Hello everybody. I am going to go ahead and try to do a little work through of what we talked about the other day. I know we had a few instructors who were unable to attend. So let's go ahead and get started. Once you have email access, I know some of you do not have the email access through UMSL, but when you log in, you'll have the Canvas page. So let's go ahead and log into there first and show you what we have. Alright, so any class that you're teaching should be on here. If it's not, you just need to let us know. I'm going to go ahead and go down and show you kind of what your Canvas site looks like. We have 11 different sections of 3020. I've added myself to every single one of your sections. There's 2 of you on each section, 1 lab instructor, 1 clinical instructor. So for instance, when we go into 3020-01, meaning section 1, you'll see it's already published. And I put on here faculty contact information. Please note syllabus for information regarding each clinical and lab instructor. So the biggest thing, if you want to do an announcement, which I encourage all of you to do an announcement, you need to be doing that sooner than later to introduce yourself, especially the clinical instructors who might not be seeing their students for a little while. One thing we mentioned during our meeting is if you are a clinical instructor, you'll notice that orientation isn't until September. So if you want to meet your students ahead of time, you can just come up to the lab on the day that they have lab. And you can post your announcement in here, though, introducing yourself and whatnot. So here we are in our modules. This is where you'll find the syllabus, and then also going down, you'll see here's week 1 information for students and what they have due. The infection PowerPoint is not something you're going over with them whatsoever. This is actually just came straight from our ebook area in case they needed a PowerPoint to kind of look over what they've read. And then they will also have a Prep U quiz due this week, and they also have a skill video. And it says when they're due on the syllabus. And the Prep U quiz and skill videos are something you guys will be grading, so we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and download the syllabus and go through that. Okay, so here's all the clinical and lab instructors. You can get a hold of any of them through email. Has the required books, course description and objectives. So we're doing this whole concept-based curriculum now. So there are certain concepts that we make sure are covered with exemplars. So right here are the concepts that we are covering in this course. So you will always notice that each week we have a specific concept. There might be more than one, and then these are the exemplars we're actually using to help drive home these concepts. Now there are only 2 concepts that are actually being introduced in this course. Otherwise, all these concepts are either being introduced in health assessment or in their other class that I teach called Foundations. But infection and metabolism are the only 2 that it actually has the concept being covered here. So what I'm probably going to be doing is doing some sort of little panopto or something for the students to kind of introduce them to these concepts of infection and metabolism. We always make sure a concept is introduced somewhere, and then we can apply it multiple times throughout the program. So these just happen to be the ones that we are doing in this course. So in terms of grades, the students will have 10 quizzes that they have to upload. They have to actually get a 90% or higher on those quizzes. to be able to pass this course, so they can take it as many times as they need to get that 90%. They'll also have 5 videos that they're going to be uploading. They are actually clinical skills. They'll upload those to Canvas, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a little bit. And then 1 in-person clinical skill, and that will be their medication administration one. There's also 5 DocuCare assignments. DocuCare is just our fancy, basically, Epic. And then we have 4 virtual simulation assignments that they will do. All of these things are hopefully designed to not cause you guys to have to do a lot of extra work. I'm hoping that going through this a little bit today, you'll see how we can achieve all of these objectives. Late assignments receive 10% deduction for each day they are late. If a student, though, tells you, hey, I need an extension, please give them the extension. If they keep asking for extensions, then we have a problem, and we need to look into that further. And that's something I could always help you with as well. So I know this syllabus looks absolutely nuts with how much stuff is on here. I try to put as much information on here, though, as possible so that everybody understands what they're doing. So for instance, the week of August 19th, there are several days throughout the week that students have, that we have labs going on. Each student each week attends 1 lab. It's already pre-assigned, and they attend 1 clinical starting later in September. So for instance, tomorrow there's a lab, Monday morning, or afternoon, I can't remember which one it is, but it's on Monday. We're covering the concept of infection. So we're jumping right in. So we want the students to be introduced to it. And again, I'm going to have to maybe talk with some of the lab members about getting that concept out, introduction out a little sooner, since they're starting this tomorrow. But again, this first week, we'll just kind of see how it goes. So we want the students to come in having read their syllabus. We want them to have read through the concept analysis for infection, which is supposed to be found in Canvas. And then their Lynn Skills book, Chapter 1 and Chapter 7, and their Hygiene and Asepsis Modules 1 and 8. That's on the ebook area as well. And then we want them to read their the Lynn Skills book journal article for Chapter 1. All of this stuff is in there. If for some reason they're not finding all of these things, then tomorrow during lab they can, the instructors can actually go through and help them find some of this stuff. Their post assignment is due 1 week after lab, which is Prep U Quiz 1 and Skill Video number 1. And they'll upload that to Canvas. So then it just kind of goes on from there. You'll see that facility orientation is the week of September 9th, and I'll get more information out to you on that. So going down, lab and clinical attendance policies. 2 unsatisfactory lab or clinical days will result in automatic failure of the course. Unsatisfactory days in clinical can result from things such as inadequate preparation, failure to turn in any assignments, absence from the lab or clinical facility, arrival at the clinical facility in any condition, failure to notify the clinical instructor, inability to demonstrate safe clinical skills, inability to discuss and or demonstrate relevant nursing care, and unprofessional or unethical behavior, and disrespectful, rude, bullying, or aggressive behavior. We can always have them look in the student handbook for further information on clinical requirements. If you're going to cancel clinical, you need to let your all your students know ahead of time. You need to let me know, and you need to let the manager or director on the floor at the facility know. That is extremely important. They need to know that you're not coming that day. And then we have to have some sort of makeup for that, which you can talk to me and we can work on that together. If you think there's any plagiarism going on, please contact me. I'll help you through that. We go by the Professional A&A Code of Ethics and Conduct. All right. This other stuff you can kind of read through on your own. Talks about clinical behavior. Title IX policies with mandatory reporting. So please make sure that you understand what you need to report. Any type of sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, sexual assault, or gender discrimination to the Student Affairs Office and or the university officials. So make sure that you understand that Title IX policy, which is all part of your orientation to the campus. All right. Castle Branch, I know lots of you have been working on your Castle Branch stuff. That is required for all of us. So make sure you get your immunizations, etc. uploaded and done. Test average, so in this course, let's see here. Oh, this one didn't get updated already, and I had definitely had updated it. But it didn't seem like it updated it on here. So let's see here. Oh, this is the one in 3020 because I have not fully updated it yet on the course site. I have a new one that I'm going to be uploading before tomorrow. So don't worry about that piece. Let's see here. I'll be helping you guys with your final grade stuff as we're going to. I'm going to be just monitoring kind of how the students are doing in all their quizzes and whatnot. Let's see if there's anything else I really need to help you with right here. I think that pretty much does it. If you have other questions, you can always ask me. All right, so when a student has an assignment due, though, they pretty much just go in here and let's see here. Like Prep U Quiz 1, you're going to be going into the actual Prep U area and looking, and then they get a total of 10 points out of this. So as long as they've gotten a 90% or higher, they can receive their full 10 points for that week. Okay? Make a note to myself. Okay, and then for Skillet videos, I am almost done with that rubric for that one. So it's not going to be super picky. I just want to make sure that they are getting those skills and working on their communication during it. So I'll get that uploaded for you guys as well. All right, so make sure that we're still recording here, and we are. If there's anything that you want to post, you can absolutely do that by going to the week that you're talking about, and you can just add something through here. The interesting thing about it, though, is you have to add it to the Canvas course first, and you do that by going to Files. So if I want to add a PowerPoint or something, I have to go in here. I created my own folder. You can add a folder here. And I had to go in there and I had to add everything in here that I needed for so far. So that way when I went to modules and went to each week, I could add things in there. So it's asking me, am I adding an assignment? No, I'm just adding the file. And I can go down under 3020 and find it. That takes a second to figure out, but you get used to it after a while. So that's pretty much the syllabus. In terms of, let's see, emails, make sure that you respond back to students within 48 hours. That doesn't include weekends. And then, let me see if I can, in terms of grading, make sure that you give them timely feedback. So no more than a week. Okay, on their stuff that they're uploading for their skills. Try to get those in fairly quickly. So what it's going to be, though, for the quizzes, let's go in and look at the quizzes. We use our ebook area. So you can, when you sign in, it kind of looks like this. I go to my content, and you have to find your fundamentals book. Here's the skills book right here. This is where you can find videos. Students can find the videos in there as well. This is also where they find the virtual simulations. Okay, so fundamentals, let's go in there. And it says Prep You. So when they go into Prep You, and I've already invited you to the course, here it is. When we go in there, this is where I will have the quizzes. I'm getting close on the quiz. I just want to make sure that I have it the way I want it for the first one. But anyway, I can go in there and have like concept of infection. I already have a lot of questions in there that I like. I need to make sure they're at a certain level before I put them in there. But for quizzes in here, I'm picking 20 of the best questions, and that's what the students get to use. And they have to get 90% or higher on that. This is where the VSIM is. So this is where you would go after they have done their VSIM. I haven't seen what it looks like once a student has actually finished one. So it might be that they have to take a screenshot of it at the end. I'll take a look at that. And they might have to do a screenshot and just upload it to Canvas, which is just to show that they completed it. Screenshot for completion. All right. So, lots of good stuff on here, though. Let's go back to course content. Towards the bottom of this is where some of the skills checklists are. If they can't find it in here, then they can go to the skills book and find it there. So lots of good things on here. This is where they're finding just about everything. One of the first things they're doing is preparing a sterile field and adding things to it. That's basically, they're going to find all these skills, and I may give them, like for this first week, a little case study, that a very short one saying, you've just been given an order to prepare a sterile field for your patient, blah, 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 and have them kind of go from there with it. And basically how it works with these videos, if you have 8 students in your clinical, in your lab, because this is for lab instructors, you are going to have them buddy up with somebody for the whole semester, and that buddy then is the person that they're doing that video with. So on not during lab hours, they have to come in during open lab hours. They're actually going to get they're actually going to take the case study, take an iPhone or one of the devices from the lab, because they have some in there, and they have to actually record themselves doing the skill. So let's say, for instance, this first week, Amanda and I were doing a skill together. Let's say Amanda is the recorder this week, so she's going to record me doing a skill, kind of going through the case study, going through the skills, talking myself through it, and performing them. And all of that is on film, being recorded by Amanda. After it's done, Amanda's going to actually go through the film and write up her own peer feedback on that. Okay, so, and then they're going to turn that video and that peer review in. It just gets uploaded to Canvas. That way then the instructors have 4 videos and 4 peer reviews that they're reviewing. As long as the students have pretty much done everything they're supposed to with minimum error, they get the full points. If there's a lot of issues with it, though, we're probably going to have them redo the video, because the whole point of this is not necessarily to be punitive. We want them to get the content, get the objective of what's going on before they move on. And that would be what we want you guys to help them through. All right, so that pretty much covers it for now. The cool thing about Prep You, when you go through, you'll be able to actually see how your class is doing. So once students actually start working on stuff, they can get all the way up to a mastery level of 8, which is the absolute best they can do. we want them to go in there and practice. They're not going to be able to get way up there by doing these quizzes that we're doing each week, because they're only 20-question quizzes. The way they get even better at questions is having them going in and practicing more and more. So that's what I'd like you guys to do, is go in there and see how much are some of these students practicing. So if you start having issues with a student in clinical and they're just not grasping stuff, and they're like, well, I'm studying, I'm doing this and that and the other, you can actually go in and see, well, how much are they actually in here? What are they actually doing? And I'll be kind of looking at this stuff too as we're going through. Okay. The other thing that we will look at is the DocuCare. So, again, DocuCare is through the fundamental stuff. Let me go back to the fundamentals book, so not the skills book, the actual fundamentals. And go in here. Nope, never mind. I'm not thinking. Maybe I need more coffee. Let's go back up to, here it is, DocuCare. See, I myself am going to struggle with some of this at times. So we're going to launch DocuCare. I've added you all to everything. I am putting all these little DocuCare activities in here. Okay, this is for clinical and for lab as well. So a student can actually go in here, and you can as well, just to practice it. View assignment data. You can actually, here, let me go back. You can pretend that you're a student. Let's go in here for a second. Preview as student. Okay, so see, we can see this one here that I started. This was the one I did the other day, and it says not submitted. So I can go in here and I made my own patient, and it has all the information on there. I can do a head-to-toe assessment. So there's lots of stuff we're going to be practicing as we're going through. This is a great way to get students charting. We're going to be doing a lot of these type of things. So even when you're in the lab session or lab setting, if you have them do a sterile dressing or whatnot, they can go in here and chart that they did it. If they inserted an IV, practice that, they can come in here and chart it. So I'm trying to add as many just blank charts as possible so that students can just, you know, come in here and chart as they're going. And you'll be helping them kind of through some of this too. So get in there, play with this thing. It's brand new to most of you, so it's good that you go in there and look at it. All right, let me see what else there was. Okay. Entering final grades. I cannot enter any of your final grades, so it will we'll kind of cross that road when we get to it towards the end of the semester. The biggest thing that we want to make sure happens in lab is that the students stay busy and are practicing things from the start to the finish. If you find yourself sitting there saying, what else can I do? That's when you need to be concerned. You need to get on the laptop, get into your content area on the Point or on Lippincott and see what else you can do. See if there's a video, see if there's something else you can help drive this stuff home for the students. There's absolutely other skills in there. If you feel like they already understand how to do the skills that we are having them practice during lab, there's plenty of other skills. Have them practice the other ones that go with infection. That would be fantastic. So that, I think, is just about all I have for now. I hope this is kind of helpful to some of you that weren't able to make the first meeting.